Everyone, it's Alicia here. I wanted to jump on and talk about a couple of things that have been really loud in my field for this last week. And I want to kind of backtrack and touch on, yes, we've had some extraordinarily wild weather, wild energy. Of course, my heart goes out to those who've been impacted by the fires here in Victoria and in New South Wales. I know that things have died down now, but for someone who's lived through bushfires, it can be very triggering for, especially Australians. And I think I just want to thank everyone for their positive intention, because it makes such a big difference. We have control over the timeline. And this is what I want to talk about. Are you on the survival timeline or the soul timeline? Or are you tap dancing in between? Because I think we do a lot of that, right? So going back into last weekend, there was an experience I went through that was completely out of the realm of something I've ever witnessed before. For 5 hours, I was kept awake during a thunderstorm, and I would sort of drift off into sleep, and then I would, kind of wake up by sounds or by my dog, who's not fond of thunderstorms. So it was sort of the in and out, for about 5-6 hours. But what I witnessed, I've never experienced before, was the energetic patterns of the organic and the synthetic weather. There was this beautiful green geometry trying to come through with the rain and the natural weather that wanted to override what was being done. And as soon as that would come in, there would be a round of almost like, the visual I'll give you is like a god ripping through the sky in a dimensional tear and casting lightning bolts and this sort of wrathful type energy. And it was like they were, like having a war up there. It was incredibly crazy. So that's sort of like the entry into what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the high frequency that I know a lot of you are experiencing right now. Since we got to Sunday, it was almost like I woke up on Sunday after having that experience that I just described to you. And the feeling that I got was something so significant has happened, and I can't remember what it was. Like, I witnessed something that shifted the timeline of humanity. Like, that's how enormous it felt, just a knowing inside of me. But I had no recollection. I was so discombobulated, as we can be when we wake up from an energetic hangover. It took me a couple of hours to kind of reorient myself of like, where are we at? But that feeling lingered, and it never left me, of like something really significant happened. And it was like, if there was a battle for the timelines, globally, collectively, for humanity, it was like we won the war on consciousness. But now the unraveling now begins. I don't know if anyone else felt anything like that last weekend, but this week, since that moment, there has been such a high frequency coming in that is doing all sorts of different things. And that's why I want to come back to this phrase that's been playing out is, are you on the soul timeline or are you on the survival timeline? And depending on where the most predominant part of your frequency is, because let's face it, we probably all have parts that are on both, or we might be like 80% on one and 20% still trying to unplug ourselves from the other. Everyone's going to be exactly where they need to be. But that's what creates the mismatch and the friction. And over the years, this has been reiterated to me by my higher self time and time again, and I've shared it with clients in sessions. It's not personal. When we go through big shifts like we are currently in right now, and this will continue, this is not stopping here, it's only just begun. Based on the frequency that you're holding and another can be holding, can create friction. because you're not tuned into the same band of frequency, and it's not personal. You know, we can take it personal, and in this human experience, it can feel very personal of how things play out. Absolutely. That just contributes to our own process to help each individual get to their destination, to get to where we're going. And it's happening so quickly right now. I don't know if you've noticed that the lag time between the energetic space and the physical space is almost non-existent. I've had countless experiences of having conversations in the field with someone, and then they call and we have the same conversation because we were literally nutting it out energetically, telepathically, whatever you like. And it was happening as a shared experience in real time. Like, that's how close we are to, that's when you know that the acceleration of the higher timeline, the optimum timeline, the soul timeline, as it's been called by my higher self now. I kind of like it. It's got a nice ring to it, but that's kind of where we're playing at. And it dovetails into a lot of the material that I'm currently writing in the manuscript. I've been shown I've been taken on many sort of remote viewing journeys in the last couple of weeks. And there's an acceleration of disconnection from the matrix system itself. I can put it that as a very simple blanket statement. People are being ripped from the matrix pods. That's how I call it. Unplugging, disconnecting. And it's a very confusing, discombobulating experience. As you energetically disentangle from the control structures energetically, it's probably going to upend parts of your life. Because the control structures that have put things in place, like the monetary system, for example, or that shitty job that you hate, but it's a means to an end, or that relationship that has been, the cracks have been there for a long time and you're just kind of walking around hoping not to rock the boat too much, or, the big pile of family dysfunction that's, been operating in the system that, that is what is going to get louder and louder and louder for a purpose, for a reason. It's not a punishment. It's showing you where the things that we need to energetically disentangle from so that we can come into our optimum expression, to get into the soul timeline, to embody it. That's what's happening. And so you may have loved ones in your life that may be still very stuck in the survival timeline. And you might have started in the last couple of months, peeked your head out, and you're starting to get, you're starting to switch back on and get inspiration and get reconnected and feeling more like yourself in your energetic expression of higher self. So many people are just taking a deep breath and coming out of whatever that was, last year and the last 2 years, we could say, or even 5, 10, whatever, whatever you're exiting, whatever time cycle you're exiting out of is wrapping up. And this is, part of the new year, but it's the new era. It really is a whole different framework of reality that we are walking into, that we have constructed already. And our higher self wants us to embody and live that. But sometimes the process is a little messy. So be gentle with yourself. And if you are experiencing friction with people that in your life that you love, take a wider lens. Look, zoom out and see it from the bigger perspective. Believe in the benevolence of the universe, that you're being repositioned or rerouted. Take the guidance steps. So let's, essentially, people still living for the vast majority of their frequency on a survival timeline is, being in fear. And being in those control systems and structures, whether that be, jobs, environments, relationships, it's like essentially it's being shut down. Your soul essence is turned off temporarily. It can never be turned off fully. We know that. But it's like you're in that survival rut of I can't get my head out of the quicksand. I don't know where to begin. And sometimes there is a shake-up that happens that looks really catastrophic on the outside, but in hindsight, looking back, it's like, oh, wow, I'm so glad that thing happened. Sometimes we just need that catalyst that's kind of going to explode in our life to pick us up and move us into a new frequency bandwidth. Believe me, I've been there. I've had so many experiences with that in my life. We all have, right? We know that. But it's like this widening apart of these timelines. So you might be already kind of jumped and you're starting to more and more each day connect with that soul timeline, your soul frequency. So more predominantly feeling good, having the acceleration, knowing where you still need to like map out and clean up some of your stuff, whether that's internally or externally or both. But it's like you're a bit clearer on where you're heading for. Things feel a bit lighter. You have a bit more room, a bit more space to navigate. And you're like, oh, okay, we're going here. Even if you don't know exactly, you feel it. And that's the whole key. You feel the change within you. You know something better is calling you. So how do we get, if we're in the survival timeline, how do we jump? How do we make the jump? It's listening. It's taking those moments to listen, to commune, to ask for support. It's making the time to put ourselves first, to reclaim our energy and our life force energy. Because I can tell you right now, there are so many energetic structures that are crumbling that is then translating in the physical real fast. These are the times of us that have been in the know. This is what we've been waiting and anticipating for. Like, it's exciting. There's so much going on, but it's chaos and it's crazy. So we have to maintain our sanity, our frequency, and be gentle with ourselves and listen to where our higher self wants to guide us and lead us in each moment. There's so much more I can speak to of this, but it's like just that question of like, how much of my consciousness now is operating on the soul timeline and how much is operating on the survival timeline, and how can I make the adjustments and steps that are going to get me more out of that and onto that. So what I want to do is offer something to support. I had the absolute honor and privilege of being able to be invited to connect with a soul sister of mine and speak and facilitate a guided process for her online community. And I loved it. It was an amazing experience. And I audio recorded, as I often do in all the group work that I do. If I'm doing a guided transmission or process or soul activation, I record just the audio so that people can re-listen and re-access the frequencies that are coming through, because it's never just a one-stop shop. It's something that we have to maintain, especially at the moment, every day. Just that 10 minutes a day to align with our frequency can make all the difference. So what I want to offer is a free guided process that is to really align and embody and merge with the 2026 and beyond frequency, your soul frequency that wants to connect to you. So this is an invitation. I would love to share that with you. In the description box below will be the link of where you can download that free off my website. And it's from my heart to yours. I just know that we're in such pivotal times, and I want each and every one of us to be able to access what is coming online and what is available to us to make the shift from one space to the next. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining me on this journey. For those of you who have been with me for so long, this is going to be one awesome ride of 2026. So I look forward to connecting with you all. Of course, if you'd like to connect with me, individual sessions, all the details will be in the description box below. But if it's the one thing you do, just ask yourself, how much of my consciousness am I operating in survival or soul timeline? And what can I do each day to make the jump? So, much love, and connect with you soon.